videos. I think book triggers are so satisfying, and just hearing them talk about books that they want to read and books that they have read, I think is really helping me get back into reading. I really love reading, but I just haven't done a lot of it in the last year or so. So I am back into reading, and I'm gonna show you guys some books that I've read, some books that I have not read, and yeah, so I am just gonna go through them, and this is like maximum gain. So hopefully there's some nice whispers and tingles and triggers in there too. So, but we're gonna start off with The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. So this book is an enemies to lovers kind of trope. However, it was also like fake dating and like forced proximity, I think that's what they call it. And it is essentially about a girl named Olive, and this guy named Ethan, and they are kind of in a position where they have to take a honeymoon together on behalf of their siblings. So Ethan's brother and Olive's sister got married. But everyone at the wedding got food poisoning except for Ethan and Olive. So instead of throwing their honeymoon away, her sister Amy, I think it's Ami, I think her name's Amelia, insists that Ethan and Olive go on this trip together. So they do, and they go to Maui, and that's kind of where the story picks up. So basically it's just two people whose siblings are getting married or have gotten married, and they just don't like each other. And I actually just finished this book last night, and I liked it. It was cute. It's, just kind of wholesome. It's funny. There's like witty moments in there. It's like definitely not the best, kind of forced, or I guess enemies to lovers that I've read. Like not even a little bit. But I've had this book on my shelf for probably 2 years, and I just never read it. And I decided I finally was going to take the time to read this book, and it was very cute. But yeah, I finished it yesterday, and I think I would give it probably 3.5 stars out of 5. It was cute. Can I say that one more time? And witty, but it's not spicy. If you're looking for spice, you're not gonna get it in this book. It's more so just kind of like offhand comments about spicy things, but it's not spicy. So if that's what you're looking for, this is not the book for you. Which I didn't mind necessarily. I'm not always looking for spice, but I was expecting a bit more, and they kind of leave you like wondering. So, but it's a really good book, and if you're into like a kind of slow burn and just kind of cutesy romance, I think you would like this. So that is The Honeymooners by Christina Lauren, which, by the way, it's very interesting because they write a lot of books together, but they're two separate people. There's one woman who's named Christina, and they're like besties, and one named Lauren, and they just came together and are writing books together, and it's cute. But I also heard that there is a sequel, like a novella, about the sister, so I might read that, but it's gonna be a while because I have to get through all these other books. Okay, years ago, but I was rereading it because I was excited about the new season, and this book is so good. There's definitely spice, so if you're into spice, it's there. It's just kind of like old-timey spice, if you know what I mean. So this book is obviously set in the early to mid, early 20s, I think, of the 1800s. So it's gonna be a little cringy with the romance, I find, but it's very sweet. I think now, especially with the show, it's very exciting to look back on. Now that they're making a show, and we obviously know Bridgerton, the show, is very spicy. I'd probably give this like 2.5 spices out of 5, but it's definitely not the spiciest book in the Bridgerton series, but it's spicy. So, Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. But yeah, this book is just about Colin and Penelope's love story. Kind of how they're really good friends and how it goes from there. And the new season comes out in like less than a month, and I'm so excited. Clearly, if you saw my last video, I was very excited about it. So yeah, it's a friends to lovers story. So if you're into that, which I think is really adorable, this is the book for you. But also, it is historical fiction, so they're not gonna, there's gonna be some older references. So if you're not into that, totally get it. I didn't think I was into historical fiction until I read this series, but also the like Netflix series, I think also helped me with that. But it's a quick read. I think I read it in like a few days, so it's nothing crazy. But next book we have is another Bridgerton book, and it is An Offer from a Gentleman. And this is my favorite book in the Bridgerton series. I think I'd have to go back and reread other ones, but I really like this one. It is a kind of forbidden love story, and it's about Sophie Beckett and Benedict Bridgerton, so the second born Bridgerton. And it is very cute, and it's not as spicy as the last book, but there's definitely some in there. But yeah, basically it's like a Cinderella story in a way. It's like a Cinderella story. She's being raised by her stepmother, and she has 2 stepsisters who are like put on this pedestal, and she's forced to like clean up after them. And then one night she gets out, goes to a masquerade ball, and meets Benedict Bridgerton, and sparks fly, but they don't see each other again for a bit. So that is An Offer from a Gentleman, Benedict's story. I'm really excited to see how they adapt this in the show, because I'm just curious to see what they'll cast and what it'll be like. But yeah, it's kind of like a Prince Charming kind of story, and like again I said, it's set in the 1800s, so marrying outside of your class or dating outside of your class, recording as I would say, was not normal. You kind of all stayed with your people, so it's a forbidden love in that sense. So yeah, I think I finished this in a few days as well. I was zooming through these Bridgerton books, but I also had a lot more time on my hands. Like I said, I read this one almost like 2 years ago as well. So I had a lot more time on my hands because I was lazy and didn't have a full-time job. But yeah, really good if you like a forbidden love kind of story. Bridgerton, An Offer from a Gentleman. Okay, so now I think this is the last book in this stack that I've fully considered myself to be a person who liked fantasy. I've always gravitated towards, just like typical romance books. And I never liked fantasy really, but this is so much more than just fantasy. It's fantasy romance. The world building is so intricate and so detailed, and at first I was kind of like, this is, kind of dragging on, but so worth it. I would say for probably the first 3/4 of the book, I was like, okay, this is good, but I'm not really getting all the hype. And then something crazy happens in the last fourth, or I don't know, part of the book, and I was blown away, and it totally changed everything I thought about this book. And it's another really good enemies to lovers if you like enemies to lovers. And it is just so interesting. Basically, it surrounds a 19-year-old girl named Feyre, and if you haven't read Thorns and Roses, which probably most of you have, but, she kills a wolf in the woods, but it's not actually like a wolf. It is a high fae, or a fairy in the fairy realm, because there's the human realm and the fairy realm, and the fairy, they do their own things, one does not mess with the other. So Feyre is a human, and the wolf that she thought she killed, that she thought was just she kind of had a suspicion that maybe it was something else, but she actually killed a fairy, a high fae. And yeah, that's kind of where the story picks up. She comes from a very troubled background. She's illiterate, can't read or write, and she is left to provide for her family. Her dad is injured. Her sisters are kind of more, I guess, traditionally feminine and don't feel like going out and, hunting. But Feyre is the youngest, and she is the one who does all that. And yeah, so basically news spreads to the Fey realm that a human girl killed a fairy, and it gets interesting from there. So yeah, the characters are really interesting. The world is so intricate. Let me show you actually the map. So the map, if you can see it, this is all the fairy realm, and this is Prithian, which is where all the high fae are. If I'm misunderstanding, I'm so sorry. But that's where all the high fae are. So there's the autumn court, the summer court, the spring court, winter court, dawn court, day court, night court, and then the wall, which is what separates the fairies from the humans. This is where Feyre lives. This is her village. And yeah, to the wall. But I believe it said that Prithian is supposed to be I think Scotland and some of the the rest of the United Kingdom to a bit, and then the human realm is supposed to be the top of Europe, and so kind of I guess you would say maybe the Netherlands and other countries, Belgium maybe, in that area, but also the United Kingdom. But they don't explicitly say that in here. Obviously, it's supposed to be a fantasy land. But yep. So it's very intricate. If you like Game of Thrones, if you like the series, the books, whatever, you will probably really like this. It has a lot of similarities, and it is spicy. Now, I've heard it gets more intense, but that some spice in it. It wasn't crazy, but I've heard that the further on you go with the series, it gets pretty wild. But yeah, I have purchased the rest of the series. As you can see by my bookmark, I'm just a tiny bit into A Court of Mist and Fury. I'm not gonna spoil the back because it kind of like spoils the first book, but I am a bit into A Court of Mist and Fury, and I've heard this one's really good. So I'm super excited. I just got this a few days ago. I'm only 60 pages in, so I'm barely started. But also the covers are so pretty. It's a pretty big book compared to the first one, which is like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's pretty big compared. So it's A Court of Mist and Fury, which is what I'm reading right now. Then it's A Court of Wings and Ruin, which this one's so pretty. All the covers are gorgeous. This one's huge. Court of Wings and Ruin. And then there's like a novella in between. Look how tiny this one is compared. Court of Frost and Starlight. I think this one's the biggest. I think it's like almost 800 pages, so that one's gonna be hefty, but yeah, I'm expecting to read these over the next few months. But I'm so excited. If I like a series, I try not to buy the whole series until I finish the first book, and I'm like, okay, I really like this. So I read the first book and I loved it, and I was like, yep, we're buying the full series now. So that's exactly what I did. So yeah, hopefully I'll finish this book in a few weeks. Like I said, I don't have really a lot of free time on my hands, but let me know if you guys would like me to like read A Court of Mist and Fury or A Court of Thorns and Roses. I would be down for either. Frankly, I think A Court of Thorns and Roses probably makes more sense. But yeah, I'd be down for that. I love book reading ASMR. I think it's very relaxing. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I know it was kind of random and different, but I am super excited to read this book. And also I hope you guys, liked what I had to say about the other books, or just liked the book triggers in general. The whispering. And yeah, so once again, shout out to Haley Jean ASMR and ASMR Fleur, because I love their videos and they're so relaxing, and I love when they talk about books, because who doesn't like a good book? Anyway, that is all from me today, and I will see you in my next one.